Hi. First time live in forever. I am home alone on an evening. Never happens. And I just finished a workout and I don't feel like cleaning. So I thought I would come on and hang out for a bit, talk about whatever. If you follow me on Instagram, you know that I talk about so much more than just abuse. So anything is fair game. That's what I do when I go live because I don't go live very often. So if there's anything you want to ask me about, anything you want to tell me, anything you want to talk about, it's all fair game. Obviously, if you're here on Facebook and YouTube, I pretty much only share abuse related content over there. So feel free to ask me anything. I am a certified trauma recovery coach. So if you want to work through something, I can do that. This is our time until we're done. So, hey, girl. Hey. Hi, Amanda. Welcome in. Yay, it's Lindsay. Oh, hey, how's it going? Obviously, if you know me, like I said, I'm just not live. I'm just not live very often. It's like, it's one of those things. I used to go live a lot more, and then I picked up the pace on recording my podcast, and then I just feel like it's so much harder to have the energy to like go live and hang out and talk because I'm just like talking and hanging out by myself when I'm recording my podcast. So I'm like, I really need a routine, but it's just not easy. But I'm here. How is everybody? How is it feeling with the lead up to Christmas? Are you excited? Are you nervous? Are any of you going to be around toxic family? That's obviously a big issue during the holidays. A lot of people are just like super excited, and a lot of people are really struggling. So, Max was abusive and he apologized for what he did to me. He said he was fighting his demons. I told him it's no excuse what he did and it doesn't make it right. No, it doesn't. And if this is a person who was abusive to you but is not continuing to abuse you, like they're not pulling any hoovering tactics, like I don't know the whole story. I don't know if he just apologized and then left you alone and respected your space, or if he's like messaging you a lot and continuing to abuse you, because even those little harmless messages are part of the abuse cycle when it's an abusive person like that. But yeah, if he just needed to apologize because he really it's fair that people go through really hard times and they act in ways that they might not if they were in a healthier place. However, like you said, what he did happened. There's no excuse. And, you don't have to talk to him. Like you said, I blocked him, but he said he changed. If you haven't blocked, like, I don't know your whole story. And again, like, if you haven't blocked and you felt like you needed to block him and you broke up for a reason, I'm a huge advocate for keeping that door closed. Hey, Lindsay. Hi, Lauren. How's it going? Do you find Christmas to be a hard time because of trauma? In terms of like childhood trauma and family and stuff, for me, it's always just been like sort of a sad time. Not sad, like depression sad, but kind of like, maybe disappointing is a better word, because my family is just like, we're not close. And I feel that so strongly. But I'm an adult, I live far away. I don't usually go home for Christmas. I usually spend Christmases with my son and his dad, even though we're not together. We have pretty much agreed to have Christmas together so that he can be with both of us. And I like Christmas now because my son is 4, he's almost 5. Now holidays are for him. We do all the things, we do crafts, we do all this stuff for him. I will say tomorrow, my podcast episode is about holidays with abusive people. You probably see a lot of creators talking about it right now because this is a big deal. If you have a narcissistic or otherwise abusive, toxic parent, partner, could be coworkers, could be a sibling, holidays can be absolute hell. And you'll have to listen to the podcast, but I talk about that. A lot of people will talk about how an abusive person will absolutely destroy your holiday. But another thing they can do is make it really, really good, which can be confusing. So for me, last year, this is only going to be my second Christmas free. Last year was confusing but I remember being highly aware of what it was. It was a euphoric recall where, you know, my abuser would ruin every single other special event, but for Christmas it was weirdly nice. It was weirdly calm. They were involved. They did all the events, all the crafts, all the things that I wanted to do with my son. And what that does is serve to confuse you. Like when you do leave, it's almost like, you know, like when we're investing in our future and we're putting money away and we're like, okay, I'm going to need this when I'm older. It's kind of like that. They're kind of like, I'm going to put this happy seed in your brain so that if you ever leave me every year on Christmas, you're going to remember me and you're going to miss me and maybe you'll reach out to me. So it's like that seed for the reverse Hoover to happen. But luckily I was very aware of it. And I was like, it makes sense that I'm nostalgic right now because the good memories are peppered in there to keep you confused and they're not real. And I was able to work through it. This year, I don't feel like I'll have that nostalgia because I've had a whole entire year to work through it. But if you do, it's totally fair, right? It makes sense that it's there. It's just important that we understand it for what it is. Oh no. For some reason, let me see. For some reason, StreamYard is not staying connected to my Facebook. Silver lining, my toxic family told me I'm not welcome at Christmas. They did the work for you. All right. All right. It looks like we're back live on Facebook. So sorry about that. Okay. Welcome in, everybody. How's it going? Where are your podcasts available? So definitely Spotify and Apple Podcasts. And I know that there's other places where you can stream it, like other places where podcasts are available. I don't know exactly which ones, but definitely the big two. If you do decide to give it a listen, please let me know what you think. Just send me a message. Let me know which one you listened to. Let me know what you thought about it. Let me know what stood out to you. I really do enjoy, like, obviously, one of the things that pains me about being in the position I'm in is that I can't feasibly respond to every single DM that I get. I try to at least give them a heart. Like, I saw it. Thank you for, or a frowny face or something like that. But yeah, let me know. I really do enjoy hearing what y'all think about the podcast. And like a lot of times people will send me like, oh, I was listening to your podcast or I was watching this video and I thought of this. And again, I don't have, unfortunately, a lot of time. Every once in a while, there's like a breakthrough and I'll be like with somebody, but to sit and have like long messages and like mutual sessions about like what we went through and stuff like that. But I do want you all to know that I do try to read them and like your stories also help me, they validate me as well. So I'm all caught up. Awesome. What else, y'all? What are you thinking? What are you thinking going to the holidays? What are you what's something that you're struggling with? Or it can even be something you want to know about me. Sometimes people will ask me like, what's your favorite color? Like, I don't, it's yellow. Oh, okay. I'm a little behind here. I was hoping to get a third-party opinion. A very toxic ex of mine recently got my number somehow and reached out to me. Now, for some reason, I feel bad for not answering. Should I answer or simply block and leave it? Block and leave it for sure. We get this like because we are good people or we are caring, empathetic people, and we can feel guilty. We can be like, well, they reached out, like they care, or they reached out and someone on Instagram said block in all caps. So yes, we've got another vote for block, but it's a trap. It's a hoovering attempt. If you listen to podcasts, Sunflower, always block. Yeah. I have a whole entire episode about, do I have a whole episode about hoovering? Okay, now I need to look this up. I feel like I've done a whole episode about hoovering. I did just they want to pull you in to hurt you again. Absolutely. So it's hoovering can be done in so many different ways, but the hoovering attempts that I got, there were a couple that I won't mention because they're kind of like not important to this conversation, but one of them was when I first got back to Washington, they found out that I was back and they reached out and they were like, I don't want to be the reason why you can't go to the gym anymore if we could talk about it. And so that sounds like, one, they're being the better person. We broke up, you left, you took the kid, you took the dogs, Hooverville. You were so cruel to me. And yet I'm here being the bigger person. I know you haven't been to the gym. I'm sure you would like to still go there because you can bring your kid, you can bring the dog, you can run around. This is where you've been working out. I don't want to take that from you. I'm such a good, bigger person. It's a Hoover attempt because as soon as I respond and I'm like, sure, yeah, we can talk, they're like, do you want to meet up? Done. They're going to pull you back into conversations. They're going to, whatever they're going to do. Well, he said the same thing. You aren't at the gym anymore, which freaked me out. Absolutely. They watch you. And even if it can either be subtle watching, like checking on you once in a while or asking other people. It's a fishing line with bait. Absolutely. By the way, if you have made a comment with like a question or something, I will come back. I saw it. I will come back to you. Another one was, that was January of last year. And then the last one, which knock on wood, I'm like really hopeful that it was the last time that I'll hear from them. Was like, hey, I just drove by you and I saw the dog that they tried to steal from me out the window, like Pip always did. And I actually they ran into my ex-husband that day. Anyway, weird day. I hope you're doing well. It's this, I just saw you. I'm just checking in on you. Are you doing well? Can't believe I just ran into you. Like they can seem really calm and kind. And that's where the guilt is coming in. Cause you're like, was it that bad? Am I being cruel? Absolutely block. Keep that person blocked. Block them on everything. We do see a lot of really, really persistent abusive people. I had someone say the other day, like, they have 75 numbers blocked because people can go and get fake numbers and do all this stuff or have a friend reach out or make fake accounts. If they want to get in touch with you, they will find other ways to do it, but just keep that block button going and do not feel guilty. Like you might feel guilty at first, but keep it. It's the same when you start exercising, you're like, oh my God, I can only run one. And it's like a slow jog around the track, right? But after a while, you're like, oh yeah, this is getting easier. Each time is getting easier. It's getting easier every time. And that guilt is going to go away the more that you stick to what you're doing. All right. Hoovering is horrible. It's a sick way to lure you back into the abuse cycle. And the more that we educate ourselves on what hoovering can look like, it can be horrible, nasty threats. It can be nice. It can be kind. It can be, oh, I just want to check on you. Again, if they're watching you and something hard happens and they know, like someone says, like something happened to a family member and you're worried about the family member or whatever, I heard about your mom or your sister, or I heard about this, that, it's just this false, they're giving you this false sense of comfort that they're still caring, even though you left them. And, absolutely not. Why is it difficult these days to give out compliments to someone they automatically think creep? Oh, that's a fair question. I don't automatically think people are creeps if it's just a compliment. I'm in a public place, so a lot of people compliment me for what I'm doing, like the work that I'm doing, for being a good mom, things like that. Not like, oh, like, I don't get that. People are pretty respectful, but I get a lot of compliments. And if someone's giving me a compliment and, they're just like, oh my gosh, I love what you did with your room, or, oh my gosh, that's fine. But if someone's several times, then yes, just absolutely stop. I don't need this. I didn't ask for this. I don't want anything from anybody, like, whatever. So I think that if it's just like a passing thing, that's not creepy at all. But if it's like, if someone is persistent and you've made it clear that you like aren't into it, then yeah, that's kind of creepy. We're so used to compliments coming from creeper people in the past. It also depends how you word it, I think. Yeah, I agree. And I think we're very used to creepy people. Like, if you think about it, nice people, how do I say this? I have never said this out loud, so I'm not sure if I'm going to say this right, but hopefully you'll understand what I'm trying to say. The genuinely nice, safe people are like hanging back, right? So then if as you're getting closer to those nice people, then they're going to like, hey, I really like how I love that look on you today. This is a new look. I've never seen this on you. I really love this. Right. But they're like waiting until you're getting closer. Whereas the creepy people are like, I see you. I like you. I want you. Do you want to get married? Just like out there. So it's more obvious. It's more loud. It's when you're walking down, like you see the ladies, like I walked this block in New York City and it was, a 5-second walk and 49 guys hit on you, whatever. Like you see stuff like that. And it's more obvious. It's more in our brains. Unfortunately, that's where a lot of women are right now. All right. Scrolling. Oh God, how pathetic. Yeah, circling back to that. What if it's just a couple of times a year after years? Block. A couple times a year after years. So the thing about an abusive person. Okay, Allie, I'm going to recommend for you, if you like podcasts. I know I'm just like throwing my podcast out there right now, but it really is. It's a great tool for like this is why I like it. Like Sunflower, this is the lesson that you could use today. Allie, this is the lesson you could use today. It's like, I feel like I'm giving you little lessons and I hope you don't feel like I'm dismissing you. And I'm like, I don't want to talk about this. Go listen to this. But I did a whole episode called like a narcissist supply closet or something like that. And obviously not all abusive people are narcissists, but what can happen is when you have an abusive person who has benefited from abusing you, right? They like the control. They like all this stuff that's happening. If the door is still open, AKA you haven't blocked them on every single thing ever and blocked all their friends and contacts and everything like that so that there's still a door open, they're going to keep knocking on it. So a couple times a year, is this person still available? She didn't respond. All right. 6 months later, she didn't respond. 6 months later, I'm bored. No one's talking to me. No one's, building me up, putting me on a pedestal. Is Allie still available? There she is. She responded. And a negative response is still, it's like bad attention is good attention for them. Doesn't matter if you're like, yeah, hey, sorry I didn't respond 6 months ago, but yeah, I'm still here. How are you? They got you. If you say, shut the heck up, leave me alone, they got you. In fact, I watched that happen. And I think that's in that episode too about the supply closet. I talk about the things that I witnessed in terms of, and I don't like, the word supply is kind of horrible because like to think of ourselves as like Ashley from the Narc and Me, I was listening to her podcast and she's like, I don't like to think of myself as a can of beans. Like it's hurricane supply. We're stocking up. We're all cans of beans. It feels horrible. But to an abusive person, they're putting us on that shelf. I'll pull you down when I need you. Right now, I don't need you. I got someone else who's giving me all the supply I need. But if this one goes, I'm pulling you back down. And we don't want to be on that supply closet. We want to be out of stock, period. And we want them to know without a doubt that we are out of stock. We are on back order and there's no way that we're coming back. True. For me, I love giving out compliments. It's just who I am. Like I wanted to say, you look so pretty without makeup, but I didn't want to come off as weird or creep or whatever. So that one's hard for me because I do have, like I usually when I'm on the camera, I do put makeup on. And so I do feel a little bit weird, kind of like naked. And I don't sit here and I'm like, wow, I look so ugly, but I feel like slightly less attractive than when I don't wear a lot of makeup. It's subtle. So it's like, oh, thank you. Cause it's weird because it is like, oh, so, I don't have to wear makeup. It's just nice. But then, yeah, at the same time, because of where I'm at in my life, I'm like, what do you want from me? I don't think that because you were very cautious about saying it. So I appreciate that. But yeah, it is hard. I get that. And you never know how someone's going to respond to it. Does your abuser know you have this platform? Yeah, I had 18,000 followers on Instagram when I left, and I had 30,000 on TikTok. So they knew that I had it. When I first left, there were some flying monkeys that found it and were saying bad things about me and saying that I was just basically trying to get attention and that I was a liar and an idiot and a bad mom and all this stuff. And, that early on, it was like slightly difficult to hear that, but also I was like, I think I know what's happening here. So yes, they absolutely do know. And my guess is, I don't know if they check on me or not. Like, of course, I have them blocked, but you can just Google me. But my guess is, if I had to be totally honest, just knowing how they are, that they never check on me or anything like that because they want to pretend that I don't exist because of what I'm doing. Because of what I'm doing, I'm not on their shelf anymore, whereas several of their other exes are. Um, and they want to just pretend that I'm not there. So a lot of abusive people will also erase you. And I haven't actually seen a lot of people thinking or talking about that, but once you fall from grace, once you are, they know without a doubt that you are never going to be able to be controlled again. You can see them for who they are. They're going to delete you from existence. And I do believe that that's what my abuser did, for which I am very thankful. And I wish that could happen to all of you. Unfortunately, not everyone is going to do that. I've been through trauma with losing my dog that got killed in front of me. It has been hard. That's really weird. I had the same exact experience. Mine was in 2019. And in fact, that was the thing that opened the door for my abuser to come into my life and absolutely destroy it. It's a horrible thing. And I'm very sorry that that happened. It's something that kind of trauma, it gets easier to live with, but it never goes away. All right. All right. Amanda from Facebook, are you still in here? Because I missed your question. And before I read it, I want to make sure you're still in here. We can definitely still talk about it. But I just want to make sure you're still in here before I'm like having a whole conversation. Yes. Okay, great. What points of topic would you recommend to push in custody court that would be beneficial and not come across as bitter? My abuser has connections and literally slides under the radar law-wise almost every single time in our county, which is also the county I'm having to fight him in. So a lot of people don't know this. Amanda, I don't know if you knew this or not, but my abuser is not my son's other parent. Legally, biologically, nothing. So sorry, 1 second. So I don't have the experience of having to take someone to court. I did have to go through a lot of stuff with my son's dad, but we don't like fight each other like that. Like it's not perfect. We co-parent together and we have some like things that we definitely butt heads about, but I didn't have to do all of that you are doing. So usually what I do is recommend other creators who did have to go through that and who are talking about it, because I might not be the most helpful person to help, like to guide you through that process. Mine stalked me in every way possible. He even had friends staked outside my house after I finally escaped. That's post-separation abuse. Absolutely happens. I'm sorry he went through that. Document everything, screenshot everything, save everything away. Any proof that you have of his erratic behavior. Unfortunately, a lot of court systems don't care about any of that. They're like, yeah, it's your kid's dad. Like, obviously, he's going to want your house. Totally normal. And it's not. It's really not. But I wish that I could say more. I really just don't have any experience with that. I had a business with my abuser, and when I left him and stopped working with him, he told our employees I was no longer an owner, that I was in fact blacklisted from stepping in the restaurants. Was there anything you could do about that, or were you just like out? Like legally, if you owned it together, like how did that work? From what I have been through, they come back after years and hoping you forgot about how you felt back then. That's how I would put it. Yeah, in terms of people popping up after years. Yeah, and people can pop up after 10 years, 20 years. So like they say to like never let your guard down. Obviously, like we don't want to just be like, "Oh my gosh, who's this person? Like what's going on?" But like never assume that you'll never hear. Like I just said, I'm pretty sure I'll never hear from them again, but again, if I do, it's not going to be surprising to me because that's what they do. Still trying to find a lawyer that can help. Oh, good luck with that. That's ridiculous. What steps should someone take when they first get out of a toxic relationship? Okay, so if you don't know, I am a trauma recovery coach, and this is what I do. I do one-on-one trauma recovery coaching, and I have several ongoing clients, but I have two right now that are still in it. And I'm coming up with sort of like a 6-week program. Like, obviously, a 6-week program is not going to fix your entire life, but where we will sit down and start like 6 separate subjects. Like, this is the first thing we have to work on, and then this, and we're going to work through all of that. It's going to be geared towards people who are still in it. But when they first get out, so you're saying someone is out, obviously go no contact, block on everything, and try your best to, make sure they don't have access to you anymore, and then get yourself in a place where you can be as safe as possible. And by that, I mean nervous system calm. So wherever you can go to get that nervous system calm so that you can start the process of healing, breaking the trauma bond, which is a whole horrible, ugly thing that you have to go through when you're in these kinds of relationships. It's like breaking an addiction, because that's literally what it is an addiction to someone who's harming you. But you have to be in a safe, it doesn't have to be perfect, but you have to be in a safer place than where you've been this whole time. That's like the nutshell version of it. So I don't know your full story. How badly were you abused? Sorry if my question is too direct. So that's a really good teachable moment. I'm not upset. It's not direct. I don't describe abuse as being this bad, not so bad, because it's all bad. All abuse is bad. And we do tend to think of physical abuse and certain types of physical abuse as being the worst of the worst. And this is something that I've been talking a lot about in some of the podcasts that I've been creating and interviewing and things like that, is how a lot of times every other kind of abuse, or most every other kind of abuse, gets unnoticed because we are all taught that abuse is, trigger warning, I'm going to say some horrible things, kicking, punching, shoving someone, breaking things, like the things that we see in movies, like the movie Enough with J-Lo. I'm pretty sure there's like a Beyonce movie too, where it's always a man horribly physically abusing a woman, or even like Goodbye Earl from the Chicks, I guess they're called now. This song where it's this man and he's physically harming her body. And that's all we know of abuse. And we think that that's the worst kind. And it is really effing bad. However, all abuse is really effing bad. And I don't ever want to say anything that's going to say this is worse than that. Because a lot of people will say emotional abuse is worse. And in some ways, I agree that it can be a lot harder to heal from in the long term. But if someone has punched you in the face, you're going to be jumpy for the rest of your life. If someone raises their hand too quickly, you're thinking you're going to get hit. Maybe not for the rest of your life, but for a very long time. So even though it's maybe not this mental day in, day out that emotional mental abuse requires, that's like all encompassing. Your brain has literally changed. Your brain has been rewired when someone has delivered sustained long-term emotional abuse, really any kind of abuse, because it's all going to your brain. But that physical abuse too, again, people will say it's harder to heal from emotional abuse. Physical abuse seems more obvious. It makes more sense to us, like, oh, they got really mad and they threw a couch at me or something like that. We can rationalize that more. They have they have a temper problem, so they did this. Versus emotional abuse, we're like, I don't understand. Why did that happen? How could they do that? How could you treat someone that way? It's all very confusing. It's all very bad. All of that to say, so I'm not going to say, oh, it was this bad. Like it was 40% bad or 70% bad. And I know that's not what you're saying. But they're the types of abuse. And I go off the hotline.org because that's where we're supposed to be able to call if we need help getting out. They can help you create a safety plan. They have tons of resources. Is it a perfect resource? No. I know they're underfunded. They don't have enough people answering the phones, but they have really detailed descriptions of all the kinds of abuse. I might be missing one, but we have physical abuse, emotional, mental abuse, financial abuse, sexual abuse / coercion. What am I missing? I'm pretty sure I'm missing one. Oh, there's like digital abuse. Where someone could be like stalking you, harassing you, bullying you. You know, I don't know what all that entails. That's probably the one I know the least about. But yeah, there's all kinds of abuse. And so to answer your question, I experienced all of the kinds of abuse in my previous relationship, except maybe digital abuse. You know what? Let's just look into that while we're all sitting here. Thehotline.org, y'all. I haven't shared that on my Instagram in a while. Usually I share that fairly often. Okay, identify abuse. Warning signs of abuse. We're going to look at digital abuse. Types of abuse. Yeah, emotional and verbal. Reproductive coercion is the one that I forgot. So digital abuse is telling you who you can or can't follow or be friends with on social media. Did experience that. Sending you negative, insulting, threatening messages or emails, using social media to track your activities, insulting or humiliating you in their posts online, including unflattering videos or photos, pressuring you to send certain types of photos, stealing or insisting on having your passwords, constantly texting or making you feel like you can't be separated from your phone for fear you anger them. Experienced that without, it wasn't constantly texting, but I wasn't supposed to like miss a message or a call from them. Looking through your phone, checking your pictures, texts, phone records, using GPS to track you, smart home technology to track your movements, creepy, and creating fake social media profiles. So that is digital abuse in a nutshell. Since I wasn't exactly sure what all that entailed, and now we know, now we've put that out there, but yes. And one thing that, so a lot of people, when I create abuse videos and they go viral, and I'm talking about covert abuse, which is, again, it's secretive. It seems very subtle from the outside. It's harder to spot. A lot of people will be like, that's not abuse. That's not physical abuse. That's like whatever, because they think that's the only thing. And they'll say things like, and you never experienced physical abuse. And I pretty much almost never respond to that because I don't have to. And you never have to justify, like, if someone's like, well, is that you know your truth, you know your story. Like, I'm not going to sit here and respond to everyone who's like, you've never been physically abused, because I have. The thing is that I choose to talk about other kinds of abuse because that's the thing that people don't realize. But even with physical abuse, I feel that it's important to talk more about the things that we don't recognize as physical abuse, like blocking you from leaving a room, shutting you in a door, or shutting you in a room, preventing you from leaving, taking your keys, taking your phone, taking your keys, taking your phone. Keeping your phone away from you is physical abuse. Does anyone have any questions about that? Taking your phone from your person and preventing you the ability to reach out to law enforcement, a family member for help, whatever, is physical abuse. It is abuse. So I think it's really important to talk about those things again that people don't, like, people are experiencing. I experienced it. Many of us experienced it, but we rationalize it and we think, oh, they just took my phone because they were mad. They took my keys. They didn't want me to leave because we were in an argument. They blocked me from leaving because they didn't want. It's all abuse, and it needs to be talked about. My kiddo just got home. He was hanging out with he went to dinner with his dad so I could work out and have some time to recover, because today was wild. He was supposed to go to daycare, but the daycare provider's baby was sick, And so like last minute he was home and I had this whole like me day to catch up on things planned. And it was just like a crazy hectic day hanging out with him. So I just had this alone time. He's back home and I typically don't stay on lives when he's home because that feels weird to me. Like my kid's home, don't care, gonna talk about this anyway. But I feel like we had a really great conversation here. We had a lot of good questions. I got a little bit heated. I tend to get really passionate about like what abuse is. But I hope this helped. To everyone who I recommended podcast episodes to, if you choose to listen to them, I hope it's helped. I hope it helps. I hope it's just a message that you needed right now. And again, feel free to reach out to me. I can't. Lee Hammock, I'm just getting ready to leave. My kiddo just walked in the door, so I was getting ready to sign off. But how's it going? No response. Did you leave already? Okay. Anyway, I'm heading out. So everyone take care of yourselves. Do something nice. This isn't a fun topic, so go, do some self-care. Drink your water. That message is for me too. And I will be back as soon as I can. Thank you all for hanging out. I'll see you later.